Welcome to Time with Terra. This is our first episode in a series that will be aimed at keeping you in the know. This series is going to be dedicated to giving you tips and trends, information, interesting conversations with industry experts, banks, insurance, various people who we interact with on a day-to-day basis. And we think that you need to know exactly what is required when you come into the market to participate, whether you be a landlord, a purchaser, a vendor. We want you to think of Terra Caribbean, the experts in the real estate industry, to help you with all your decisions. We are now able to give a good indication of how we're performing in our industry in Grenada. St. George is the #1 performing parish in terms of the number of transactions. Nearly 50% of the real estate transactions in Grenada happened in St. George. It was followed by St. Andrew and St. David, who both had 18% of the transactions. Let's look at the classification of those sales. We have divided the sales into agricultural, commercial, and residential. Now, these classifications will cover both land and buildings. 90% of the transactions in Grenada in 2017 were residential. So that would be residential land and residential buildings. 2% were commercial and 8% were agricultural. Additionally, the property type that has been the most popular is land. Land has been consistently the #1 seller in the Grenada real estate for several years running. We do not expect that trend to change. We have also analyzed the value of the transactions that took place in 2017. The majority of the transactions in 2017 were under $200,000. 72% specifically of those transactions were in that category. In the $200,000 to $600,000 category, we had 21%, and over $600,000, 7%. When we analyze the value of the sales, the percentages are very consistent with what the unit or the number of transactions were. We had 68% in St. George when you looked at the value of the transactions that took place in St. George versus the overall transactions in Grenada. We had 4% for Carriacou, 10% for St. Andrew, 12% for St. David, 1% for St. John and St. Mark, and 5% for St. Patrick. We continue to see the development in Grandad's and True Blue, spurred by the continued development and growth of the St. George's University. Student accommodation continues to be the #1 development type in terms of the number of developments happening in the True Blue Grandad's area. It says to us that new students, new housing accommodation, there will be an increased demand for ancillary services to these students who are going to be living in these new apartments. So all in all, 2017 was a very good year for us in Grenada in the real estate industry, and we continue to expect to see the progress and continue to see the improvement happening in our industry. I hope this time with Terra has been informative and that you have gathered some useful information that you can take into your investment decisions or your life decisions if it's buying a home for your family. If you have not picked up a copy of our Red Book for 2017, which will continue and be very valid until 2019 when the second edition of our Red Book will be released, please do so. The Red Book is a very informative publication, a definitive guide of real estate in Grenada. There are articles from the industry, experts, as well as properties of every kind. Residential houses, residential land, commercial, agricultural. It's all captured here in the Red Book. So please, come to our office if you don't see it out there. We'll have a copy here waiting for you. This has been Time with Terra. We know Grenada, we know real estate.